Hey, restorative yogis. My name is Melissa Kushnaryav, and I'm a restorative yoga teacher. I've been teaching yoga for over 10 years and restorative yoga for about 6 years, maybe 7. I have a long history in the world of marketing. That was also another love of mine. I'm currently not working in marketing right now, but I want to share some insights that I've had on how marketing for restorative yoga teachers needs to shift during this pandemic because I live in California and I feel like we are entering another phase of lockdown and everything. There was a while when I thought maybe things were going to start opening up. Maybe we could do more in-person classes, but things are totally shifting. So I just wanted to pop in here real quick and share some of my thoughts as somebody who has for sure one foot in the yoga door and also one foot in the marketing and business world. So I hope you find some of this helpful and useful. And if not, thanks for being here anyways. So first, I just wanted to say that I reached out to a handful of different yoga forums and just kind of asked some questions about how people are handling their newsletters and some of their other marketing activities, just to get an idea so I could see what other people are doing. So this isn't necessarily exactly from my own experience. I'm taking that into consideration, of course, but also I did touch base with other yoga teachers to see what's going on. Of course, during this pandemic, there is less connection to students, and we feel that distance. We can't, especially restorative yoga, where it's such an intimate environment, and I'm such a hands-on restorative yoga teacher, and I really miss being able to connect with my students that way. Doing virtual classes is great in some ways, but it's a huge challenge in other ways, and I'm sure some of you restorative yoga teachers are feeling that as well. So there's less connection in that way, and so we need to have more connection in other ways. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today. So one thing that I think is really important is, well, we may not be able to teach in-person classes right now, or maybe you are in a place where you can teach them, and that's great. Maybe you're at a place where you can teach them, but not as many students are coming, or maybe you're somewhere like me where it's all pretty much on lockdown. And so I think it's really important for us to start to think about what are those other revenue streams, like creating ebooks, creating workshops, creating online trainings. I know there's a lot of people doing online trainings right now, doing virtual classes, doing other different types of virtual events. What are some of the things we can start to create now that's a little bit of a shift from our previous revenue streams? And I think in terms of then being able to market that, we really have to look at the quality of what we're chugging out there. So it needs to shift. It needs to start to be a little bit different than probably what we did before when we were doing in-person. So maybe some of you are already doing this, but I just wanted to give some of you guys some ideas for how things might be shifting. And I think it starts with content. I think we need to start looking at what is it that our students want. So what do your restorative yoga students want? And this, of course, this pertains to all different types of yoga. I'm just speaking restorative yoga because it's a passion of mine. I'm connected to a handful of other restorative yoga teachers. And I think that this is a really powerful and amazing niche that the world needs right now. So what is some of the content that you are creating right now? What is some content you could create? If you're not creating any content, or you're like, hey, I don't know what you mean by content. What I mean is stuff that you're giving away to people, stuff you're posting on social media, stuff you're putting out in your newsletter, stuff you're posting on YouTube and Facebook and any other place where you might be posting these videos or audios or blog articles, stuff that you're giving away from your own expertise. And what this does is it helps you to really be seen as an expert in this area, and it helps people to form a deeper connection to you. So if you love being in front of the camera, right? Maybe video is a great thing for you. If you know how to use Zoom and you have the mic set up and everything and you can edit, then maybe that's a really easy spot for you to go. If you love writing, maybe blogs, maybe you can be featured on some other blogs, so you can expand your readership. If you don't like either of those, maybe you try audios. Maybe you post some things up on SoundCloud and share it around. I've, in recent months, done some meditations that I posted on SoundCloud just to sort of play with that technology a little bit. If none of this sounds right, maybe there is something else. Maybe it's images, maybe it's photographs, maybe it's quotes or inspirational pieces. Whatever kind of feels easy and natural to you, I would start to gravitate in that direction. But at the same time, don't be afraid to try something new. So maybe video can be really scary sometimes. When I first started doing video, I was like, oh my God, I gotta make sure I look okay. I gotta make sure my background's okay. I have 4 children running around the house. How am I gonna do this? But you don't always have to do all of that stuff. I think people like it feeling a little bit off the cuff and, child interrupts. It's not the end of the world, right? It's real. So don't aim for perfection and don't aim for just what's within where you're comfortable. Look to stretch that, because it's when we start to move into those edges of our comfort zone and move a little bit beyond those edges, that's when we start to grow. And that's when like a lot of the magic in life starts to happen. So don't stay within your comfort zone. Start to push those boundaries. But if there's an area in the content an area of content that you start to gravitate towards naturally, I would really start to kind of pull that, move into that direction, lean into that, as they'd say. But don't be afraid to try something new, and don't always look at what's being done. I mean, if you want to combine video and photographs and something completely brand new and different, do that. Don't worry if it's not something that a lot of other yogis are doing right now. So I think a lot of it starts with content right now. We really need to, especially if you're not creating much, I think now is a good time to start, because those are great pieces to start connecting with the world outside of the physical yoga studio, more the virtual world we need to move into. I also think it's important for you to think of what are things that I can reasonably do. So I have a newborn baby, so I'm up at night. Well, she's not newborn anymore, she's 6 months, but I'm up at night nursing her. And sometimes writing is easy for me because I love writing, and also I'm up at night, and as ideas start to pop into my head, I can just kind of like pull out my phone and start to put them down, Or if I have a few minutes while my kids are eating breakfast, I can pop open my laptop and open the Word document and just kind of start typing away on things. I can still be keeping an eye on them, having conversations. I'm not having to be set up for a video where everything's quiet and it's just me. So start to think about what feels easy, what feels manageable, because once you find those areas, that's what you're going to do. If it's impossible for you to record audio because you don't have the technology or you don't have the proper space, you're never going to do it. I wouldn't choose that unless you decide to create that space and get that technology. That's fine. But find something that's realistic, reasonable for your life so that you'll actually do it. And then I just wanted to say, as far as marketing, I do think email marketing is a really great space for yoga teachers to move into if they're not there yet. I've seen, interestingly enough, some questions pop up on the forums about what to include in email newsletters and what to put out there. I've heard some teachers say, no, people don't want to hear from me more than once a month. Oh, I email every week. Oh, I just include when I have something, I just include things that I'm selling. I think putting these content pieces in there is hugely important. On my website, melissakrishnaryav.com, I have a sign up for a weekly email. It comes out every Sunday morning. It talks about motherhood, talks about yoga when I have stuff to talk about with yoga, and it talks about just sort of life. And people know it's coming every Sunday morning. Sometimes it's Monday, and I always call myself out on that in the email, but it's funny, it's engaging, it's inspiring, it's uplifting. Like, I'm really starting to fine tune what my message is, what I'm including there. When I have something to sell, I wrote a book that I published in August, and I already had this great relationship with all these readers who were expecting to hear from me on Sunday morning. So within my email, I also let them know, hey, this book is coming out. This book I mentioned before that I'm working on, it's available right now for pre-sale, or it's available for sale right now. So it gave me an opportunity to really pop in those sales components when the time is right. In a few weeks, I'm launching an online training, and it's a great time for me to just be able to pop that into that email because I've already built that relationship. There's already a conversation there. But I'm not asking them to buy in every email, and I'm definitely not making it 100% sales, because if you are just doing sales, yeah, maybe once a month is great, let them know what your offerings are. That's totally fine. But if you're able to start building up your content and you're able to create this relationship, this back and forth conversation, I think more frequently is great if you can build in those other components. Now, if it's just sales, that's different. But if you really are able to kind of, nurture this relationship and make it more about just sales, then I think you have a great opportunity to start putting in those content pieces. For those of you who are starting kind of at square one, jump in. I use Squarespace for my website. Grab a template. Don't spend forever looking at templates and start building that website. You can build it in a weekend. I mean, I use iPhone photos on mine. I just got something up and got running with it. Grab MailChimp or whatever your email provider is going to be, your email service, and start going. Get something to collect email addresses. Start with 5. Send a newsletter out to 5 people. ask your mom and your neighbor to join, then it'll be 7, like start to grow it, start to figure out ways to kind of get more interest and more engagement. Okay, so during the pandemic, I think it's really important for us to think about how our marketing is shifting, how we're generating content, how we're sharing content, how we're engaging in these conversations and nurturing these relationships in a virtual environment. There's a whole nother side of things talking about online offerings, because I know that's new for a lot of yoga teachers who are used to in-person classes. So there's a lot there to build up additional revenue streams, ebooks, virtual workshops, trainings, all that stuff. But if you're looking specifically at how marketing needs to start to shift during the pandemic, if you haven't done some of these things yet, I really highly recommend that you give it a shot. Put yourself out there, start to push into the edges of your comfort zone, and start to go beyond it and see what you create and see who you can reach and see what your message can be. And good luck. It's an interesting time for restorative yoga teachers for sure, but we can do it, right? We can do hard things, as they say.